Hey there, and welcome to Trailblazers, the podcast celebrating women who've done it first and done it differently here in Revelstoke and other small mountain towns. I'm your host, Megan Harvey, and on each episode, we dive into the stories of the bold, creative, and inspiring women who are shaping their communities, whether it's out on the trails, in the arts, or beyond. Trailblazers was created by photographer and producer Laura Santo, and she's behind the vision, the edits, and the magic of the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's get into it. Today, I'm so excited to talk with Leah Evans. She's a businesswoman, athlete, mentor, artist, and all-around powerhouse in the outdoor world. Thank you so much for being here, Leah.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start with some warm-up questions. So first question, I think I might know the answer, but actually, maybe I don't. Do you prefer winter or summer?
I prefer winter, but I also have a deep appreciation for summer.
Yeah, nice. Do you prefer heli skiing or backcountry skiing?
Backcountry skiing.
Okay, cool. Do you drink coffee or tea in the morning?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I drink water usually.
Yeah.
I've only drank 3 cups of coffee in my whole life, so not a big coffee gal.
Okay. Was it a bad experience?
Well, one of them was on a film trip, and it was in Spain, and I had to go get them. And with broken Spanish, I got 2 espressos.
Oh no.
And totally, we had like a food fight in the van after, and yeah, I think that was my coffee debut.
Yeah. And also maybe your finale.
Totally. The grand finale.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, this is a good one. What is your après-ski vibe? Do you like to go hot tub, sauna, go to the bar? What are you doing after skiing?
Definitely food.
Yeah.
I think you're always very hungry when you get home from skiing. So whatever that is, if you're going to a restaurant or if you're going out with a group of friends or if you're just going home and like eating whatever is left in your lunch, like it definitely is food focused. I'd say. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. We'll get into it now. I would love to know where you grew up and how you got into skiing.
I grew up in a small town, Rosslyn, BC, and I was a ski racer for Red Mountain Racers. And basically it came to this defining moment where I asked my parents, hey, I need to get my training plan for ski racing. Like I was fully on track, wanted to be the next Nancy Green, go to the Olympics, etc. And my parents were like, hey, we actually can't afford for you to ski race. And so my whole ski world crumbled. But my parents at that time also gave me a pair of twin tips. And I think that opened up my world to powder skiing and park skiing and like this whole subculture that was getting created around free ride and freestyle. And yeah, I think that was like a very definite moment. And then since that point I've really had a lot of different journeys within skiing, but that was the moment where I was like, oh, powder skiing. I love this.
Yeah. Arguably way more fun than ski racing.
Totally. I was such a technical skier though, that it took me a while to like break out of being technical all the time and just like have this like loose and flow. And it definitely, my skiing style changed.
Yeah. So like one door closed with ski racing, but then another one opened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Powder skiing.
Yeah.
And did you just go into the park and make friends and learn tricks, or did you have a crew that you skied with? Did you do official lessons? Like what was that like?
I skied with 2 snowboarders, and then I just admired all the older skier boys for 2 different reasons. Like A, they were boys, and then B, because they're really good skiers.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be a part of that scene so badly. And this is when the Sarah Burke era and like just kind of the emergence and like you're really seeing females out there showcasing what it was like to be in that lifestyle and then also to have that athletic ability. And I knew as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that's what I want to do. And it was only until I did my first competition that I was like, oh, like people jump cliffs. Like, how do you jump a cliff? And it was through that process of competing that I'm like, I have to like huck myself off stuff and like get this dialed, because that's what makes you a winner or at the top or just like diverse in your skiing ability.
Right. Yeah. Pushing the limits. Yeah. So when did you join the Free Ride World Tour then?
There was an interesting time period where I went to university in the States on a field hockey scholarship. I came back on my winter break, and I did the Canadian free skiing championship at Red Mountain, where I'm from.
Okay.
And it was that time period that I kind of realized there's other people out there like me. I met 2 younger girls, Tessa Treadway and then Pip Hunt. So from different parts of Canada and the US. And I was like, oh, they're doing it. They're chasing this dream. And that really like put me on the right track of like, okay, I want to do this. They're doing it. And then I just started following the circuit.
Cool.
And just trying to figure out how to jump cliffs, how to like ski fast, how to win.
Yeah.
And I wasn't winning focused, but I was like very much like in the proving yourself stage.
Right. Yeah. And did you have like a crew that you were like, I guess everyone goes to the same competition, so you would ski with the same people?
Yeah. And I had my friend Mike Hopkins from Rossland, who was a pro skier at the time. And then I was just like so excited to be there. I was like the keen person, like asking questions and like making friends. And like, it was just this like joy that was coming out of me. Cause I think for once I found my people in the community, and I was like, really just wanted to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so great. And then while you were still like quite young, like at 19, that's when you hosted the first, what was it? Girls Get Out Day.
Yeah. So, basically living in Rossland, there wasn't many females that were skiing. So I kind of had this idea of, okay, how do we gather everybody? And everyone has a story, everyone needs to connect. And there was this one woman, Meg Oster, in town that I was super intimidated by. And I was like, maybe if I make an event, she'll come and then I'll be able to talk to her.
Yeah.
And if I was feeling that way, then how many other people were feeling that way too? Yeah. So created the event, got all the like best skiers to be the coaches, and the groups were massive. They're like 15 people to like one person.
Oh my gosh.
The whole thing was like about mixing. And then after that, I was like, oh, this could really be an event. And at that point, we called it Girls Day Out. And that became my email address, Leah Girls Day Out, or like Leah_Girls Day Out at hotmail.com. So that kind of like started it all. Yeah. And the process from there is I got sponsored by Rosenal Skis, and I brought them my business plan and duotang. I printed it off. I was like, here you go. This is what I'm thinking. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, what? And I was super young at that time, and also not confident like making phone calls. Like I would have to like write everything down so I could follow a script when I called like a resort and be like, hi, I'm starting this event. And like was so nervous, like everything was so new. Yeah. But I just had this like crazy drive to make this event happen.
Mm-hmm. Was there any like particular story from that first day that you were like, oh, we need to keep this going? Was there some like little success stories, or was it just the general vibe was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible to be out with all these women in the mountains, and we need to keep replicating it?
Yeah, it was just the spirit. Yeah. And it was basically like the spirit then like lived in me, and it was like that spirit had to be facilitated. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of this thing that was beyond me. And it still feels like that. I'm like, it never feels like work. There's the moments where it feels like work with the computer stuff, but when you're actually doing it, I'm like, that feels like the flow and like what you're supposed to be contributing. Mm-hmm. And probably the one person was my mom who came, and it was like so amazing. We had these like feedback cards, and there's all these questions, and the one question was like, what are you proud of? And she was just put like my kids, and I'm like, it was just like she was showing up for herself, but also for me, and also like in turn for all female skiers too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did your mom teach you how to ski?
My parents I think it was a collective effort, parent wise, but
like they put you on little skis as a little baby.
Yeah, by the time I was 5, I was skiing, and they made the move from Calgary to Rossland, so it was very ski focused. Yeah. And I think they wanted to be a ski family, so that's just how we got raised.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. And now you're like, you're continuing to like, whatever your parents gave you, you know, that ability to go skiing, you're now passing that along to other women, which is awesome.
Yeah. And I also have reflected a lot on how my parents raised me, because they broke away and they were kind of extreme. And then so me and my brother got cultivated in an extreme environment where like we just think like extreme things are kind of normal. Right. And my brother and myself have both become professional athletes that have done really extreme stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's just been this level of like extremism.
Right. Yeah. Like your baseline for like what's normal is like up here where others are like, oh, I'm just gonna go off this like little side hit off of the cat track, and you're like hucking yourselves off cliffs. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like I went on a summer adventure the other day, and my friend was like, oh, I learned that you're really tough. And I was like, oh, that's like normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I did that growing up, like as a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So I think when you get raised in a certain environment, it breeds a sense of normal. And my sense of normal, it may be skewed compared to other people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. We'll get into that in a bit because I want to talk to you about your Bucks to Rogers traverse, which was, you got to be a tough cookie to do that.
Yeah.
But I want to keep talking a little bit about Girls Do Ski. So from this Girls Day Out, which in my mind, I keep wanting to say Girls Night Out.
Same, but quite different.
Same, but different. So that transitioned into this organization, Girls Do Ski, which you run female or women plus focused ski technique workshops, whether it's out at the resort or in the backcountry. So how has that evolved over the years, and what does it look like now from that first, one event in Rossland, 15 years ago? Mm-hmm. To now you're running how many events and how many people of you are in the community, all that stuff. Yeah.
So maybe I'll back up one step too, because the Girls Do Ski name was from a government search I had to do. So Girls Day Out was already taken. Surprise.
Oh.
So that's why we couldn't continue with that name.
Okay.
And so I had this like weird time period where I really wanted it to be Girls Day Out still, but the official business name was Girls Do Ski.
Oh, okay.
And Girls Do Ski was the only internet domain name I could get. So we kind of went through this transition period, and that was, we were having bigger resort camps only. And then when I moved to Revelstoke 13 years ago, then we fully adopted Girls Do Ski. And I was like, we just got to go with this. Like, it kind of felt like a branch away from like the original route. Slight name change, but just even like a location change. So it was like a big moment for me of like moving to a different place.
Right. It's an evolution.
It was totally an evolution. Mm-hmm. I was going to move to Golden or Revelstoke, and I ended up in Revelstoke.
What was that decision like? How did you choose Revy?
The ski hill.
Okay.
The ski hill, and then also Izzy Lynch and myself were competing on the tour together.
Okay.
And she was like, you should just move and we can ski out together every day. And like literally moved and skied with her and Zoya Lynch every single day.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was super cool. And that was also the evolution too of like all the coaches were all females that I had skied with or competed with.
Right.
And so there was like this community around that. And then Revelstoke, it's been so fun because the program has changed, and we've also involved way more female identifying folks in the program. And once I moved to Revelstoke, that was when we kind of moved into the backcountry space.
Right.
And Revelstoke is so cool because we have so many ACMG female guides. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know there were so many until I moved here, and then being able to provide work for them has been so cool.
Yeah.
And now, having done it for so long, we've had people who've come through our guides training program, then they've become a tail guide, and now they're actually guiding for us.
Whoa.
And it's been so cool just to be like a little tiny part in people's journey. And yeah, campers as well. I became really good friends with a couple people who came, like Sydney Badger, who's one of our I don't even know how to fully, she's a counselor, but she's also a good friend of Girls Who Ski. We've done a lot of the videos with her, and she was a camper at Girls Who Ski. So it's brought in so many good people. And I think now the community is so big. From where I started, it was like a really small circle, and now it's like a bigger circle. And then there's also other things, other programs and stuff happening. And I just love to see any kind of female specific program happening.
Yeah. From when I've been at Girls Who Ski events, like it's nice to see people who are, come back year over year. I think that is really awesome that people, you think, oh, like you might like learn the same, I don't know, the same skills at each course, but it's just coming back every year, and you change every year, and something that might not have clicked one year starts to click in the second year. But I think more so it's about the community, and like coming back and skiing with a rad group of girls and giggling all day, and like just having like also just a really safe environment to have fun and to try out these new skills. That's like what brings people back too.
And I think you totally nailed it, like a safe space. And a lot of females come by themselves to the camp.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool.
And they travel from all over.
All over.
Yeah.
And like, if you put yourself in that scenario and you're going to Thailand to go on a surf camp, like, would you go by yourself? Like, personally, I'd want to go with a friend. But I feel like the fact that people are willing to come by themselves, that they already feel the invitation is safe.
Yeah.
And once you're there, that we can collectively hold people and help them improve too. And like skiing is, when you've done it so much, you're like, oh, it's totally like easy, fine. And then you really have to be like, oh, it's like it can build up to a certain level that feels not safe for people. And so I'm just really stoked that everybody's contribution to the space makes people feel like they can improve, and personally, spiritually, emotionally, physically.
All aspects. Yeah. When we interviewed Nat, we talked a little bit about the green, yellow, red zone, because we talked to Nat a lot about fear in skiing and how her relationship to it. And that's something that she's like, oh, well, like in coaching for girls who ski, Leah has this great metaphor of like when you get into your different zones. And I think that, girls who ski creates such a green zone to operate in, and to maybe push your boundary a little bit, but return and feel like that nervous system is safe and cared for. Yeah.
And it just, like you said, the collective energy of everybody too. You're like more willing to try something if someone's like, I'm going to do it. And then you're like, I'm going to do it too. And I think within my own skiing, if I've seen a female athlete of any sort do something, I'm like, I'm going to do that too, because they have done it. So I think the step that has already been taken is easier to step on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's like very inspiring to see someone who you relate to do something, and you're like, oh yeah, I can do that too. Yeah. Speaking in this, like creating safe spaces and spaces to grow, not only in skiing, but also maybe like emotionally or what have you. You also in the past have hosted airplane mode camps as an ACMG hiking guide. So, and that kind of combines like, I guess for lack of a better term, like therapy and hiking, or like being outdoors. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I haven't done it for a while, but the spirit of it still is like so topical for me. I was just on another trip and I kind of had this moment. I was like, the outside body does not matter to anybody else. Like the inside body is like what you engage with. The outside body is for other people. And I think that whole premise at airplane mode, I'm like, once you turn off the screen and you go into this space, like you are having your internal thing, but you have no mirror. So you don't get this like reflection. You kind of just get to distill yourself down to like having this beautiful internal dialogue. And then it doesn't matter what you look like.
Yeah.
And I think in today's culture, there's so much of how you look and how you're judging yourself on all these things too. Once you have that reflective space, like if it's a phone, if it's a mirror, you're constantly being like having that external conversation.
Oh yeah.
Where
when you look down and you're like, why do I have 5 chins?
Yeah, totally. Or you're like now it's like I get like so many ads for Botox and etc., which is the cultural norm of what's happening. But I think this wilderness space, like the wilderness does not care what you look like. And the wilderness will accept you however you are. You look at a tree and they're all different. Some are ugly, some are beautiful, but like, do you care? And like, that's the same with people, is like, we're totally imperfect and that's perfect.
Yeah.
And nature is like that. Everything has symmetry. And so I think airplane mode is just this general concept of like, how do we unplug people like literally from that third device or that reflective device?
Yeah.
Like I would love for it to be no mirrors too, if I did it in the future.
Right. Yeah. Like, so no, like you can't even use your phone to take photos. Like that is also part of it.
We're like a little bit loose on that, but
Yeah.
the premise was like as much detached time as
Because
you can
I
have.
think like that is kind of cool because you're seeing these beautiful things, but like it's kind of special to know that, yeah, I don't have my phone and I can't take a photo. So I need to be really present and just like appreciate and maybe take like a couple seconds longer to look at a beautiful alpine lake, to really like put that into your memory instead of taking 5 photos of it that all look the same.
So I think airplane mode. But for airplane mode, it was mostly about just disconnecting from the device as much as you could, not taking photos. And then it's about reconnecting with other people or just like general connection that you are creating. And we brought in Katie Burrell, and this was pre-Katie Burrell, like all the stuff that she's done, and Colleen Gentleman. And Colleen filmed it, and Katie was also an improv coach and comedian. So we had improv like in the field, and then we did these like skits like out in the beautiful tundra. And then the last night we had like a comedy show by Katie. And it was just like a different way of like, how do you connect people? Yeah. And through laughter too. So it's kind of like all these things that we know that are so important to us. And airplane mode was like, just, this is a space where we're just going to take time to reconnect to all those things. And like the joy, the happiness, the self-reflection, and like just giving yourself a minute too.
Totally. Yeah. That's such an interesting take too, to have to incorporate comedy into it, because laughter is like such a medicine, and such like there's nothing better than laughing with your friends. So and I think that's like a natural part of being in the outdoors, is those little inside jokes you get on the hut trip, or even just this day spent in the backcountry. You see something and then it becomes this joke that, or this saying or whatever, like that's only exists because you all saw it together and you were doing a hard thing, and it's this way to relieve tension or what have you. So
they're like the little gold nuggets that you like carry with you forever. And like I think it's those things that make you so rich. And if you live a life that is disconnected, you don't have those nuggets and like that wealth to share in the future when you need it, or at that specific time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking of when I was in university, in between first and second year, I think I did an outward bound course in Colorado, and we went to the Gore Range Mountains for about a month. And that was, I think, the first time that I didn't have my phone. And it was so weird. I was, the moments that I was like feeling quite lonely and disconnected from my family or from my friends, I would like craft tweets in my head. It was like and looking back, I'm like, wow, I think I was too plugged in. Or maybe like that's how I was like trying to connect, was like, okay, if I could tweet in this moment, what would I say? Which is so silly. And then I also remember coming back into the van after being away for a month and looking at my phone, and it was the weirdest experience ever. To like, I felt like I was hallucinating, like just like the screen was so vibrant and like so it was I think that like that, it was such a powerful experience to be away from technology for a extended amount of time, and just like we didn't have phones to take pictures. I think I had like a little digital camera.
Cool.
But so I really like the idea of airplane mode.
Me too. And I think it's this like ethos that I carry now with all these trips. Like I just try and savor it. Like we're driving back in the truck and I'm like, I just don't want to slide. And I think it's really healthy, especially now, for people just to have or to create that space for themselves.
That's awesome. Switching gears a little bit, you've been, through Girls Do Ski, or through this this airplane mode camp was all women, correct? Or
no, that was co-ed.
Oh, it's co-ed. Okay. Okay. So so I guess more from a ski perspective, you really are like such a strong supporter of women in skiing and supporting women, creating safe spaces for them. Why? I mean, it's, I think, a little bit obvious, but why do you think it's important to have these kinds of events for women to come and expand their skills and expand their network?
It's a good question. It's funny because it's just something that I do, and it's never been like so intentional, I guess. Like it's just part of something. I feel like that's my life mission, and it was like bestowed on me. It was like, no, this is your job.
Yeah.
And it's never been like, I have to change this or I have to do this. It's mostly just come out of this place of like, this is something the world needs. And I think creating space for that and for people, like my official business is called Circle and Events Inc. And it's all based around a circle of like, how many circles can we create that people feel safe in, they feel good. And the more circles you get, the more the scale is going to tip. And like there's other programs like She Jumps, and other resorts have programs like free ride for younger girls. And it's like the more of those that are happening, the more the scale literally will get heavier on one side.
Right. Yeah.
And I think if someone takes me as an example that you can do something for other people and create space, I think that's what I want my impact to be. And it's evolved a little bit now, like, because I was so focused on Girls Do Ski, but now it's moved into hiking and into like recycling and all these different spaces. And I think it takes a lot of courage to be able to create a space. But once you've done it once, like it is easier and it gets easier. You can practice it. But I feel like everybody has a role, whether you're a coach coming into the space or a participant, like we all put together our roles to make it happen.
Right.
And
it's a collective effort.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's about me or like I don't want it to be about me. And I just feel like I have this energy that was given to me to like put towards this. I don't know. I don't think that's like your common day answer for, like everyone would be like, oh, you created this, like, and of 100%, I want to see like girls, female identifying folks have opportunities that I never had, our parents never had. Like I want to see progression within the sport. But I also want it to come from a space where you take that lesson and you do that in your daily life. Like not everyone needs to create an event. Right. Or not everyone needs to be an athlete, but how do you take that spirit and be that in your job and in your home life? Like, I think it is more of an ethos or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the mountain is just the playground that we experiment with that.
Totally. And it's like what you're destined to do in life in some way, you know, like, I had such energy and passion for this space that, and I've done it for 15 years. And I know when I like drop in to like help someone with something, I'm like, there's times where I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to do in life.
Yeah. That's a cool feeling. That's really special. Yeah. I think a lot of people would love to have that clarity.
Yeah. And I think like going through life, like now I realize like this is such a gift that I have since I was 16. I've had this clarity that this is what I'm supposed to do. And other parts of my life have not been so clear. And I've now realized like that everybody has one element of their life that is going to be totally out of balance. And they're like, why can I not just figure this out? But that's also like your soul's purpose is like to try and figure that out.
Right.
And absolutely everybody has that. And like maybe some people have easy time with relationships and like their career is like floundering or like they have a crazy home life. Like I think there's just one element that is always going to be hard for someone. And this element I've had the privilege, I've had the encouragement, I've had the community, and everyone has been behind this movement. And I've just been able to be lucky enough to hold the torch for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, so you mentioned, you know, that you have a lot of passion and enthusiasm for creating these spaces like Girls Do Ski, but you also said, recalling back earlier, when I asked you about getting into free skiing, that you were like, oh, I was just like so excited and passionate about learning to jump, learning to be in these competitions, what I had to do. So I'm wondering if you see any parallels between like your athleticism and what you've learned like as a businesswoman, and if that has helped you as a businesswoman, that like drive to you know create something that's going to succeed.
I think I'm like such a curious person and I have so many ideas. Like if you hang out with me for long enough, you'll be like, all right, like simmer down. But the ideas is also like my gift. And I think I do have like some dyslexia and neurodivergent, like I don't even know what it is, but I'm like, I've always just like internalized it as like, this is my gift. And I think we were just talking about how everybody has something in their life that they're trying to figure out. And for me, career-wise, it's always just worked out. Like someone told me, they're like, you're the person who's like at the top of the apartment building and you fall and the mattress is placed at the bottom and you just like bounce off and stuff, like keep walking. And not everything in career is felt that way.
Right.
Athlete-wise, like I was so insanely driven to be a pro skier. And I feel like there's certain points where like I wasn't as invested in my relationships with people, and like I was just so hyper focused on getting there. And now I feel like I have gotten to potentially the place I want to get or go, or maybe I haven't. I just I feel like I have a certain level of skills now, and then I'm able to like spread that joy and love, and my focus can be different, basically.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And it's also, part of continuing to grow, of like looking back and being, okay, this part of my life was dedicated more towards like pursuing this one passion. And now it's like opened all these other doors, and where do I want to dive in next? And who do I want to bring along with me?
And how do you use this, like the skills that you gained in that one arena, and how do you then take those to other spaces where you're uncomfortable, but you still can use those skills and like make something new happen within that space?
Yeah. Your toolkit. I had an old boss who loved to talk about the toolkit. She's like, well, Megan, this is just another tool for your toolkit. Yeah. And I was like, okay, my toolkit's getting heavy.
Yeah. You're like, some of these tools don't even work.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know what to do with this one. Yeah. Okay. Switching gears a little bit. I wanted to talk about your partnership with Patagonia. Well, you've been sponsored by Patagonia for how long now?
For 8 years.
For 8 years. That's quite a long time, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been, I think career-wise, athletically, like I finally got seen. And I notice in everybody's athletic like arc that they're so driven, and they're just like hungry to be seen. And then once they get seen, they get to the level that they want. And it's kind of like the natural arc.
Right.
But yeah, that was like the ribbon in your hat kind of thing. Like it was so cool to get that sponsorship.
Yeah. And you've done a lot of great work with them. And like not only Girls Do Ski, but can you tell us a bit about some other projects that you've worked on with them?
So many projects.
So many. Where to start?
And I think the cool thing is that they get me, and my ideas like are not too like out there for them. And I feel so privileged that I'll pitch them an idea and they'll be like, maybe not. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, this one. And just flown like, or not flown, but I've given them quite a few different ideas beyond the ski space.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, that one's great.
Yeah. Like they sponsored Refest.
Yep. Sponsored Refest.
Yeah.
They also made a movie about Betty, North Shore Betty.
Oh yeah.
So that was also my idea.
Oh cool.
And that comes also maybe back to this like connecting vibe, is like I can see the connections that need to be made and that would fit. And Patagonia has been, I feel I've traveled the world with different films. I've gone on a lot of different photo shoots, filming, just met a lot of really great people, and I feel like they've really developed me as a human, not just an athlete too.
And that I think really draws back to like the ethos of the company. Like you're just very well aligned, and the people who are working there like really relate to you, and you can relate to them, and you want to work together.
Definitely. Yeah. And like one of my best friends now is Marie-France Roy, and that was through Patagonia.
Oh, no
And
way.
It's been so beautiful, that friendship, because we'll go and do activism things together, and we're like, finally someone else who cares like as deeply, and just so nice to have that support. And then to know the company is supporting you with the activism too is, I don't think there's any other outdoor brand that would do that.
Yeah. And I would love to talk to you a little bit more about your activism and how you like your platform or your experience like as a pro skier, as someone who loves winter, how you bring in your activism to that.
I think I just bring in whatever I'm passionate about and the places that I've connected to and felt. So I've done a lot of like old growth activism. I also just anything that is interesting, like if it's a beach cleanup or if it's a old growth run or like just anything that I can contribute to by showing up. I'm just interested in like, how do we protect this amazing natural world that we have?
Right. Yeah. And you put on a huge event that's been now the third year in a row. That's ReFest, which is a festival or a celebration all about the 4 R's. So I'm going to try and get them. Recycle. No. Recycle, repurpose, why can't I think of them?
It's okay. The R's are like,
what are the R's? I don't know.
Reduce,
reduce,
reuse,
recycle.
Yeah. And it's
repurpose,
just like, I feel like the R's are like what I had to put on the website.
Right. Yeah.
So like,
that's like what you learn in like elementary school. Like these are our 4 R's.
Totally. And I think ReFest has like been once again, like a gathering of folks who are already doing really cool stuff, but then giving them an organized space that they can showcase what they're doing.
Cool. Yeah.
And then bringing all together. I love like all these like bizarre little things. I'm like, okay, we're going to have a trunk sale produced by like the Dump, and like the bike swap is already happening. And like, how do we create an umbrella that all these other nonprofits pretty much, they don't have much time. So like, how do we do like most of the legwork and then they can just show up and we can provide something that's super unique for the community and really create a culture around it. It's been really cool. Like now I see, or folks will come up and they'll be like, the Patagonia tent will be up, and then they'll be like, oh, are you fixing stuff? And you're like, no, we're not fixing stuff under this tent right now. But people have really associated, Patagonia with it, but also repair cafes. And like, I feel like we introduced a lot of stuff to the community, and other communities are now getting curious about this event too.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I think one thing that I noticed was it really brings out artists, like what people are doing with, whether it's, repurposing, like I think this year I saw people taking old gear, like tents and rain jackets or whatever, making them into like bike bags. Like it's really creative what people are doing to, reduce their own footprint or reuse things and give things another life. And you yourself are an artist. I know you make earrings. You're beautiful. Can you talk about like your connection with like your creative side and how that all interplays?
Well, I'm going to say so much. Like I've been thinking about this because I have been thinking. I also just went on a 6-day backpacking trip, which gives you a lot of space to dive into your brain.
Yeah.
And I think you need time to be creative. And when you're so maxed out all the time, for me, computer work really like puts me into like a little bit of a red zone. And I find I really need to balance that with having freedom. And I know I'm so privileged to have this lifestyle that provides that, but I think if you're creative, you need time and you need space, because if you're always on it and always scheduled, creativity doesn't like to live in that space. And I find I'm most creative when I'm doing really hard things. Like if I'm like not loving the adventure I'm on, I'll like start thinking about like jewelry designs in my mind that I can do. And I think that's also just like a way of creativity is like a softer thing, and like maybe that balance of yin and yang of like just taking the time to do something a little bit more nourishing and slower and like use your brain in a very different way.
Right. Yeah.
So there's the physical part of that creativity, but then the events is also super creative, and getting to engage with people who are creatives, like you have to talk to them a little bit slower, and like they need more time, and like they just need a few guardrails to be like, well, maybe we could do this. And they're like, oh yeah. And like, I think it's just a very different way to engage in life.
Right. Instead of being like, okay, let's get down to business. This is point A, point B, point C. Okay, go.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Which I'm definitely that person too. So,
well, you gotta be a bit of both.
You have to be a bit of both, but I think like the jewelry part is like fully like I don't need to start another business, but I somehow have.
Right.
Of just like a little side hobby. It was mostly just to pay for the materials that I have been getting, which is like a lot.
Yeah. Well, they're awesome. And correct me if I'm wrong, but these are like you laser cut them and then they're like made from recycled
acrylic.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're just like acrylic sheets that were destined to landfill.
Okay.
And I got them and they can be super small. And yeah, I am really interested in like making stuff out of junk. And like, that's like then like beautiful. I just want to make things that are beautiful, I guess.
Yeah. And there's so much junk in the world, or there's so much, my old landlord would say, like matter out of place. She'd call things moop. I guess that's more things like glitter. But that's always, I always think of that, of like, what can I do with this? Like, you know, like when I crash and I need a new helmet, that's like such a big piece of plastic that I can visualize it sitting in the landfill.
Yeah.
And so instead I make it a disco ball.
Nice. Amazing. Sweet.
Yeah. So that's, you just gotta have fun with it.
Totally. And it's that spirit that, sure, we have these like huge topics of climate change, etc., but like how do we, if we add creativity to this space, how can people tangibly feel it, like make something and they're like, oh, like I love this now, versus like it being in the landfill.
Right. And also I think helps combat that doom and gloom that you can get caught up in, and just hearing about the effects of climate change, or even like experiencing the effects of climate change, or hearing, you know, different laws being passed that's, you know, sending us back a couple of decades, you know, and it's like, okay, what's something that I can do with my hands? Like that's very therapeutic to do something with your hands, and also maybe, give a new life to something too. Yeah.
And be inspired by other people that are already doing it too.
Yeah. No, I feel like there's a really great community in Revelstoke of people who are creative and making cool art all the time. Yeah. And you are one of them. So
thanks.
And you bring them all together.
Yeah. I'm more of like a better facilitator sometimes at things, but thank you.
That is an art too, the art of facilitation, for sure. So you've been in quite a few films. You've been in Into the Mind, Pretty Faces, Jumbo. I might be missing some. Dream Job, a good one. Yeah. So I'm wondering what is one of your most memorable experiences being a part of a film, or maybe you could expand or elaborate on what it's like to be in a ski film. I know a lot of girls who come to Girls Who Ski, you know, they want to talk to you and say like, okay, like, you were in this film, like, what was that like? So would love to hear more about that. And if you have any really memorable experiences, good or challenging.
Yeah. So 3 things that come to mind. Tree Line is a film I did with Patagonia. And I love that one because it was about trees and then people skiing in them. And the main characters were trees. So when I went on tour with that film, the posters were actually trees.
Oh, cool.
And like there's no signing. Like usually you go like athletes like sign the posters and stuff, but this was like literally putting nature first. And that was really cool. I went to Europe and just to see how people engaged, and it was like totally a different way to do like tree skiing and sports. So I really love that one. And then I'm just really proud of all the Solomon free ski episodes that I did. And I feel like that's a really good showcasing of my skiing because when I was filming with them, I really had to prove myself that I was able to be there. And to get that opportunity was quite hard. And I had to like prove myself over and over. And then once I was able to prove myself, then I got invited. And it was such a process to get to that point. And I think that's like the determination that you need within the space when it's not always been easy for female skiers. And once you get the invite, I was like, okay, I need to show up. And so every time I filmed with them, I was like, I am here to ski.
Yeah.
And like I would give it 110. So there's quite a few like pillow skiing is kind of my expertise. And that's like, I feel like I got a great opportunity there to showcase what I can do. And also shout out to Chris Rubens and like a few other folks who were on Solomon that were my advocates. And without them, like females don't get invited to those spaces.
Right.
So I think that was awesome. And then Maybe I'll add 4, but Dream Job was so fun and like just a cool celebration. Like Colleen had this idea and it was a different idea that got produced and it just like landed in the ski world with comedy and profiling female skiing. And it just like struck a chord with everybody. And like, it's just so fun and funny. And like, I think everybody on that film, I'm just like so proud of the job that they did.
Totally.
So it was really cool to be involved in that one and just like also go on tour with it with like Katie doing comedy and giving the ski industry something that they haven't had yet.
Yeah.
And then the last one is Mind Over Mountain, and that was like so insanely hard. And I think that like athletically I'm like consider myself like I'm not the fastest person uphill by any means. Like I'm definitely a downhill athlete. And it was like, oh, how did I like misconceive that I was an uphill athlete for this film and like also convince everybody else that they want to do this?
Yeah. And
like the first,
that's the power of your facilitation.
Yeah. The first day in, I was like, oh,
yeah.
And it was just so hard, but it really like that human potential, like you push to a certain level and then you keep pushing. And I feel like I really got to learn that lesson through that film. And usually with film or photo, you're like, I'm great. We're here skiing. This is awesome. And that one was like, I don't want to be filmed and this is messed up. And like, so it provided people with this like true vulnerability, and the trust with the filmmakers like added to that, where I was just like totally unfiltered. And the response to that film was so amazing because I had like people like young, like 20-year-olds that were like, hey, like emailing me being like, hey, I have this like big life decision. Like, what did you do to like commit to the mountains? And like dads emailing and being like, hey, like, thank you so much. Like, I'm showing this to my teenage daughter.
Wow.
And teenagers like watching it and being like, I need to connect more with my friends. And like, it had nothing to do with the actual skiing, but like the whole journey of friendship and creating that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just so proud that like, I don't know, it touched so many people.
Yeah.
Us like fully suffering and like,
but it was raw and it was real. And like, I think, you can't fake that. So you were talking about your Mind Over Matter. No, you were talking about your, Mind Over Mountain film, which was, it follows your journey, your Bugaboos to Rogers Traverse, which is, I need to look at the number. 150
kilometers.
150 kilometers. Yeah. And I have written here, over 30,000 feet of elevation gain. I feel like that?
I'm not really like a numbers person, but it was a lot.
Okay, a lot of elevation. Yeah. So that's like a huge accomplishment. And you said it was very hard. And I really appreciate you, because I feel like I appreciate you saying that, because I feel like in mountain towns, you know, everyone is so fit and so athletic and so driven that, you know, someone's like most epic ski touring day can be someone's like, oh, I'm just going for a chill lap. And so it's really refreshing to hear you, an amazing athlete, professional skier, to say this was really tough. So I was wondering if you could tell us about, you know, a couple of those really tough moments, and how you got through.
Well, it was so interesting group wise because people were so far ahead and then Marie was like behind. And so basically I was like in this like yo-yo, like slinky. I was like, I could like sprint to try and keep up, or I'm like, I can just hang out with Marie at the back.
Right.
And you're just like fully suffering the whole time. Like I'm used to like skiing. You go up Rogers Pass and then you ski down and you're like, woohoo, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Or like maybe you do like a smaller ski traverse and you're like, woohoo, that was awesome. And I was like, this is not awesome. And you're basically just in like the cave, like the pain cave is like kind of what I had to describe it as. Like you get to a certain level and you're like, I actually can't go any further. And you're like, but I have to go down that drainage and up this mountain and down that drainage to get to camp.
Right. And
it's kind of just like this mental hopelessness. It was, I don't like, honestly, I haven't done anything that hard like since, just because it wasn't enjoyable. Like I feel like some people like love to suffer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like love to be in a hut and like ski some fun lines and like play games.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
And like, I like to go and like do hard stuff, but I'm like not for extended amount of time like that. And it gets to a certain level where it's like hard on your body too.
Yeah.
But I am like really proud of all of us that we did it. And especially me and Marie.
Yeah.
Had like so many jokes of like, she's like, how did you convince me to do this? I was like, how did I convince myself to do this? So
why did I think this was a good idea?
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I have so much appreciation for people who do that stuff. Like you really have to be mentally really tough.
Yeah. And like you trained for it too. Like I think that was the first winter that I met you. And I remember you were saying like, oh yeah, I'm going like to, skin across all these like cut blocks to train for this big traverse I have coming up. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw the movie like a year later and I was like, that's what she was doing.
Yeah. And I feel like I could have been more prepared, like even more training, but I just like had no idea because I'd never done anything like that before.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was like ready for it. And in retrospect, I'm like, I could have probably done a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I'm also like,
you didn't know what you didn't know.
Yeah. And I'm also like a downhill athlete. Like I love ski touring, but I'm like, go to steady pace.
Yeah.
And like once you then load yourself up with like a 50, 60, 70 pound bag, you like, and really skinny skis, like you just slow down progressively. And like, I'm like, even the skiing down was like traversing.
Yeah.
So I think I learned I'm not a ski traverser.
Yeah.
I love being in those like wild mountains and like the decision making was really intense.
Yeah.
And I love like surviving in the wilderness, but I'm like so much more down for summer backpacking. Yeah.
Yeah. At least you can like dip into a cold alpine lake if you get really sweaty.
Yeah. Or like, you just don't have to do that.
Yeah. That's so fair.
And I think it made for like a really good film because you can't predict that stuff.
Yeah.
And it really caught us at like our lowest moments and like some high moments too, but like fully unhinged.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Which like I feel like are part of those normally and inside like just this what happens on the trip stays on the trip, and like you see sides of your friends, your partners, whoever you're with that not everyone gets to see in civilian life, I guess. So it's cool that it was filmed and you could share it with everyone. And thank you for being so vulnerable and being like, I'm putting this out here because it's a really amazing film.
And then you just see me at the end, like trying so hard not to cry and like, just because I love my friends so much.
Yeah.
It was so cool though. It connected with a lot of people and it still lives on. And I think my interest in all these films is if it can live on beyond. So a lot of ski movies, like I've filmed for specific ski movies and it's all about high action, but the shelf life is so limited.
Right.
Where if it is a deeper story, it lives on for a long time.
Totally. Yeah. That's great. Okay. A little bit of actually I'm like, think that it's a bit of a left turn, but I don't think so because we're talking about, what you doing really hard things and tapping into, like sides of yourself that you need to like pull from your deepest strength to get through these hard or intense, challenges that you put yourself through. So, I heard that you have a spiritual side, and I was wondering if you could chat a little bit about what spirituality means to you, how it shows up in your life, if you have any practices that you do, and just curious about that side of you.
It's cool in my self-concept. I don't really think I'm spiritual, but it just, when you meet other people, they'll reflect that back.
Right.
And I think sometimes when it feels safe, like I will dive really deep with people. And some of the practices, I've done like so many different courses. I'm always like, oh, I'll do this like healing course or this Reiki, or like I've just kind of dived in and just out of more curiosity. And one of the practices I do daily is a theta meditation. So I go into theta brainwave state and I just, I have this whole like process that I get into the highest frequency that I can get into via theta. And then I come back down, and that's how I've started my day for the last 5 years.
Wow.
I've missed 3 times and I know exactly when they are. And it's so weird when I miss one. You basically wake up now and you crave to do it. And that's been one of those practices that I think just helps me have space to like connect with my higher self and also just connect with my body and just really just give myself a minute before waking up and hopping on my phone and like getting into like the crazy nervous system state.
Yeah.
Some other practices, I have an awesome counselor and we have gone very deep because I'm definitely into exploring self. And I think, that's all been through somatics, so where trauma is stored in the body. And that's been really helpful as an athlete too, because I'm in the body so much and I can be like, okay, I feel this feeling in this space within myself.
Right.
And otherwise, spiritual wise, like I just observe and I can see patterns, and nature is such a huge influence. And somehow I'm like now like crafting poetry in my head, but I haven't really written poetry before.
Oh, okay.
And I think maybe that's something to explore.
Yeah.
And there's something with words, but sometimes I'm like, I wish I was a writer, because I'm like, when I pass this person, I'm like, I see this woman cleaning up roses and she left the one rose on the side of the bin, and like there's just like these like really like beautiful moments in life, and you're like can add a different layer of story onto it.
Yeah. That's really beautiful. And like you're a very present person. Like whenever I get to hang out with you like on the chairlift or meet you in town, it's just like nice to like you're very calm, and I love to chat, and it feels like we're having like a good catch up, even if we're like at the farmer's market and there's a million things going on. So I think your interest in spirituality, like it exudes from you, just the calm like presentness, I feel. I think that's really awesome.
That's cool feedback. I feel like some people call me their life coach. Oh. Or like they'll just call me and then be like, I just need a little hit. And I'm like, so I think I just have always had that interest. And I've read like honestly self-help books since I was like 16 and like a lot of philosophy, and like I'll just meet people and we'll go on like this crazy like mental journey. Yeah. And it's always just been an interest and a way of seeing life and seeing things. Of
human nature, and
like I honestly think I would be like a psychologist if I was not, or a counselor, or like something within that self space, because that's where my interest really is.
Yeah, I could see that, especially incorporating, you said, being an athlete, like being in your body and the incorporating somatics into it. I think what's really helped me, like coaching for girls who ski, was when you created with Sydney Badger, the, talking about like the nervous system of like, where's your being present and aware of your nervous system when you're skiing. And even just something as simple as like, okay, when you're like rushing out the door, trying to get all your gear for the day, you meet your friends, vibes are high, everyone's chatting on the gondola, and then you find yourself at the top of the hill and you're like, oh, okay, we're skiing now. And to take that breath and reset and get into that, nice rest and digest kind of like, okay, I'm going to now go ski and get into this flow state, has been totally changed the way I think about skiing. And it's really awesome that I can now pass that along to the girls that I coach too. So
totally.
Yeah.
I think it's just this, how have we not talked about the brain?
Right?
Like how have we been so focused on like, okay, like I'm turning left with this
what
edge.
What are my ankles doing? And
then you're like, yeah, but you actually had this like crazy trauma that you got hit like by a car on that side. And like, no wonder your turn is weird on that side.
Yeah.
Like that's programmed in your brain. So I think there's been so much focus on like the physical, but we just forget about the brain. And I think that's where my interest is like, how can we reprogram? And I think I'm my own student. I'm like, how can I go so deep here that I understand like the limits, or I can understand someone else better, and in turn like create that within the coaching program too.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Last question. Who do you admire as a trailblazer? Who are the trailblazers in your life?
Skiing specifically, I've really looked up to Ingrid Backstrom, and I got the chance to coach with her in Chile, and she just had this attitude of like, oh, I'm just going to go check it out. And I think that has now become something that I do within skiing, but then and with life, I'm like, oh, you just kind of got to go to like know. And then if you don't like it, you can always come back. And but she was a huge part of that trailblazing for me. And then I think just overall, it's anybody who's like just out there loving themselves. And I feel like even I wanted to say something different, but I feel like maybe with my evolution is you see people who are high achievers and like that's so wicked, but how much do they love themselves? Like how much pain are they putting themselves through to get to that level? Where I think you see these beautiful every common day people that love themselves so much, and you interact with them and you like get this feeling from them and you're like, oh, like they're seeing me, they love themselves. Like, and I think like those are the trailblazers really. We, in our culture, we celebrate people who push themselves to the brink, but I don't know, did they love themselves to the brink? And I think that's just like this process that I've internally had to go through, and how much this competitive, like be more, push more, like be the best, where now I'm like, okay, like that's fine. Like I love myself. And like, I think there's, people in our lives that they have this beautiful power of already living within that self-love space.
Yeah. And those kind of people also like exude it too. And they share it and spread it around. So they are, they make everyone else feel a lot better.
Totally. I think those are the real trailblazers too. And then if you can combine that with an athlete and someone, I'm like, well, that's like the pure combo in the future.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And it was so lovely to chat with you and hear a little bit more about your lore. And just really appreciate all the work that you're doing, facilitating events in the community, creating spaces for people to be able to show up exactly who they are, and then also feel safe enough to grow, and whether it's like technically skiing or meeting new friends or what have you. So you're awesome.
Thank you.
That was our conversation with Leah Evans. Thank you for tuning in and listening to us, and we'll be back soon with another episode. So take care of yourself. Bye. Can we like do a montage at the end of like me clapping with all my friends? And we're just like, da, 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 and you like speed it up and we do like a clapping song. Okay.